One of the best new decks in the OP-05 format is none other than Purple Luffy. This leader single-handedly is so powerful because it's an inbuilt ramp in the leader's ability itself that can get you to your big boys essentially way faster than any other deck out there. This is the best ramp purple deck. Onagashima who? We got Purple Luffy. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to make the deck together actually in this video, and I'm going to go through and talk about certain card choices that you can potentially include in this deck. And for those of you in the English release that are already playing Kaido or who own 2 copies of the starter deck Kaido deck, then you are set. You are future proofing yourself, because then with just a minimal few cards from OP-05, you already have built Purple Luffy. And this is why, if you are a purple player or main in the English release, you should play Purple Luffy in the next format. So let's get into it. Let's talk about the deck and what makes it so good. Let's go. Boom! Purple Luffy right here. So 5000 power with 5 life. It's a normal monocolored leader. Activate main once per turn. You may take the top card from your life cards to your hand. If the amount of Dawn on your field is 0 or 3 or more, add up to 1 Dawn card from the Dawn deck as active. The reason why that 0 caveat exists because right now in OP-05 there's a card that literally lets you Dawn -10. For example, it's none other than Gear 5 Luffy. But this deck doesn't run this because all you want to do is ramp after you are at 3 or more Dawn. So essentially, the biggest boss monster of this deck is none other than 9 cost Kaido. We are running 4 copies of this bad boy because Dawn -5, KO one of your opponent's characters with cost of 6 or less, then it gains Rush. Such a powerful card, not even like leader restricted to Animal Kingdom Pirates leader. You can use this in any purple deck, and Luffy is the best choice, which is kind of thematically weird because Luffy is a Kaido's enemy, but well, you know what, it's weird. And yeah, this is what you're ramping up to. The thing is, if you're going first with Luffy, you are at 3 Dawn, you can ramp up to 4, and there's a lot of cards into the 4 cost slot that you are playing here. And then when you're at 6 Dawn, you can ramp again up to 7, and then the following turn you are at 9. So on your 4th turn, essentially, you can drop down a Kaido and give your opponents hell. We're gonna get through the card choices in a little bit, but right now we are going through some of the flex choices in OP-05. Essentially, this is the card that people are looking at because once you Dawn minus something, you can get it back with Useless Skate. This new blocker, 4 copies because you do want some inbuilt protection to protect Luffy because you will be taking life to ramp. 5 cost 6000 power with counter 1000 and blocker. And when a Dawn card from your field is returned to your Dawn deck, you can add 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck as active. So once you Dawn minus something, you get it as active, which you can keep for, you know, maybe a bowl of breath or something, or you can attach it to your leader, your character, to attack into your opponent. Very powerful card. Also, while we're on topic of the starter deck 4, I'm just gonna list out all the cards that this deck is currently playing. You can play King. I've seen some versions play King. In this deck, we're not gonna put King in, but we are gonna put in our first 2K counter of choice, which is Ulti, alongside her brother, Page 1. Now, this Ulti, if you know, Dawn -1 on play, you can play a Page 1 with a cost of 4 or less from your hand, which is this 4 cost 6000 vanilla. The reason why people are opting for this 2K counter plus the Page 1 is that you want to play out 4 cost 6000 power vanillas anyway, because it's difficult for your opponent to get rid of them. And at the same time, it gives a board presence in against some of the more aggressive decks out there, like Zoro or Red Green Law, which is the reason why we are playing blockers as well. Essentially, with Luffy, you are taking life aggressively to ramp up, so you probably end up being at like 3 or even like 2 life sometimes. So having these 2 on the field to kind of deal with some of the aggressive attackers out there is very necessary. So that's why a lot of decks are choosing to play these 2 cards. Also, good old reliable Queen is in there for card draw. Dawn -1, draw 2, and trash 1. And if you play Queen after you have used a skate, essentially you get the Dawn back. That's just value, man. That's just value out there. Alright, so right now we're gonna go through some of the other purple cards out there, starting with 2K counter slots. So in OP-05, and this is why I say, like, if you have the starter deck 4, you essentially already have most of the core stuff built in. So one of the OP-05 cards is Eustace Captain Kid for 2K counter. Some of them opt for Frenosuke. because this is another 2k counter that have utility. Because Dawn 1, if you have 8 or more Dawn on the field, this character gains Rush. You can use it to go for a last minute kill if your opponent's defenses are down. Against Enel is another attacker. So yeah, running 4 copies of that. Other than that, it's just another way for you to counter out of stuff because it's a 2k counter. And now we're going to talk about another flex card. And if you are in the English release, you probably have some cards from OP-02 and OP-03. One of the flex cards from OP-02 is Magellan. This is just a way to just really powerful because it's a way to Dawn minus your opponent stuff. So sorry, you can return one of their Dawn cards on the field to the Dawn deck. So it kind of messes up their curve a little bit, especially when you're facing against opposing purple decks that want to ramp, or you're facing against like opposing Enel or Sakazuki deck that wants to be on curve. This is a great way to disrupt that a little bit. There's also a version that I'm seeing that runs instead Poly, which is a card from OP-03, which is on play, pay 2 Dawn, add up to 1 Dawn card from a Dawn deck as active. So you're playing it when you are at 7 Dawn, and then you play this, you pay 2, you are at 8, and then you can KO something that's 4 or less. So against, like I said, opposing mirror matches, there's a lot of 4-cost stuff out there. Like the page 1 vanilla, even ulti, and you can potentially get rid of that. So in this case, we are going for the Magellan build, but you can kind of run a split if you want to. That's okay as well. Now another new card, and this one does require you to purchase the ST10, which is this Trafalgar Law right here. It's 4 cost, 5000 power, counter 1000 with blocker, and on play Dawn -1. If your opponent has 7 or more cards in your hand, you may trash 2 cards from your hand. So this is a great card. It is quite necessary, especially when you're dealing with decks that like to keep cards in your hand. Mainly, maybe even like Sakazuki decks or Control-y decks, Nami decks. Then yeah, Trafalgar Law would be really good in those matchups. However, I do understand that you do need 4 copies if you're planning to play Trafalgar Law. And that is a big buy because you need to purchase 2 copies of the ST10, which may not be so cheap. And if you are like budgeting for this game, another recommendation that I can give to you is just play the 4-cost Uta. This is also a really good card, and it's great against the aggressive matchup because you can prevent one of your opponent's characters from attacking just by Dawn -1 on block and vesting a character that's cost 5 or less. So whichever way you want to go to, you can potentially opt out of playing Trafalgar Law. If you don't want to purchase ST10, if you have the film deck, because I think it's cheaper because it's not an ultimate deck, then you can run Uta. However, in this video, we are going to run Trafalgar Law because it is just really good in my opinion. And there you go. Now, another cool thing, and this is from OP-01, is the 7 cost 9000 vanilla, Urashima. Vanillas are king in this game, especially when it comes to ramping really fast. You are getting to 7 Dawns so easily, and your opponent has to find a way to deal with a 9000 power character. It's not easy to get rid of unless you have a perfect combination of cards. Red Purple Law probably can do it really easily, but some of the other decks out there are not taking in removal because they are doing their own like game plan. So having just a big body on the field makes it hard to get rid of. Unless the opponent is attacking into it. So yeah, run 4 copies is just something that you can get to. Well, some people also opt to run the 7 cost Eustace Kid from ST10. This is on play on when attacking Dawn -1 up to your one of your leader gains 1000 power till the start of your next turn. The reason why they're running this is because there's a prevalence of Zoro right now, because this deck falls to Zoro pretty hard, because if you don't be super like if you don't ramp up really fast and get to your like bigger late game threats really quickly, then Zoro can just run you over with a lot of aggressive attacks. This can mitigate that a bit because your opponent needs to spend more resources to power up your characters, because your leader will be base 6000 until the start of your next turn. This is just another tech slot that we can play around with. However, this does require you to once again purchase ST10, which some people don't want to do that, but in this instance, we are going to try it out. I believe it's like 4 copies. We can swap this around. This is just me going through some of the flex cards out there. We'll talk about the event counter. There's only one. It's this Polar Breath. There you go. If you're running the ST4 already, you already have this, so put it in. Now we're going to round this out with like some 2k counter slots. There's a few that people are sort of running essentially. The main one is either X-Drake or even the Khalifa, because Khalifa lets you draw 2 and discard 1 when attacking and Dawn -1. So potentially you could use it. We're gonna run X Drake here just because I like Animal Kingdom Pirates theme. So we're gonna run 4 copies of this. And now we still have I believe 3 slots, which you can just slot in a good vanilla, maybe a Babanuki if you want to. I'm gonna put in 1 Babanuki, and we're gonna put in 2 more 4-cost 6,000 powered vanillas, which will be the Apu from OP-01. So we're gonna save this as Purple Luffy version 2. This is just a kind of workshop. You can take a look at the cards and you can kind of tweak it according. There's so many different builds you can do, and like key cards out there you can put in. For example, if you already have SD4, you can put in King. If you already have the film stuff, you can put in Guild Sorrow if you want to, but you can put in Ain if you want to ramp, if you like. Or you can run the Uta if you don't want the SD10 stuff, though the SD10 stuff are quite powerful. Just brace yourself because it is a pricey starter deck because it's an ultimate deck. There's also Douglas Bullet, Z if you want to run it because there's so many different variations. This 8-cost promo Kaido could be good too. So it's up to you. However you want to build Purple Luffy, I'm just telling you that if you are running SD4 already, you are pretty much set. This already has all the key things and you can just put in the Eustace kit from OP-05 and fill it up with some other cards and you probably have a decent deck that you can play. And also a Magellan or Poly, depending on what you want. But we're going to take this deck for a spin and we're going to see how it plays. And I'm going to show you kind of my thought decisions against some of the other decks out there. So let's go. Alright, another Purple Luffy. Gonna go second here so that we can, you know, ramp up a little bit higher. We do have some decent cards right here. Against Purple Luffy, what do I need? We are going second, so having this kit would be quite good, but it might put into the eyes of a 9-cost Kaido. So draw a card, draw down. That's kind of decent if I want to go that route. But the 7-cost Eustace kit is very good in the mirror, in my opinion. So I do want to counter out of this. So no blocks, counter with 1. And it's probably going to ramp up, play something that's 4 costs, 6,000 vanilla maybe. Even there we go, we got another Pooh. So draw, we're going to attack in with Luffy first. Alright, we're going to ramp. So okay, we got a 7-cost vanilla. That's great. We're going to play down the Eustace kit and end the turn. And now next turn we'll be at 7, so we can safely put down this Eustace Captain kit and start like having some inbuilt protection onto my leader itself. And coupled with this, we do get the Dawn back as active. So essentially we'll be at 6k and we can keep up Follow Breath if we want to, or be more aggressive and attach the active Dawn and attack in for 7 to the leader instead. So will he ramp again to 7? Maybe he drops his own Eustace kit. That's another thing I see happening. Okay. So he does ramp by 1. He's at 3 life now. So maybe it start to kind of shift gears. Be more aggressive. He could play the 7-cost 9,000 vanilla like Urashima. Makes it a little bit more difficult to KO or destroy. If he attacks 6k, we will counter out of it. If it's 5k, we have to think about whether we want to use up one of our 2k slots for a 5k attack. I think we're good to take 1 or 2 hits right here. So let's see what happens. This is kind of my first few times trying out Purple Luffy. It's not my preferred deck to play in the metagame right now. It is a strong one, but I just prefer like different colors. But I've been really enjoying Purple Luffy. I think if you are in the OPO English metagame, then if you have the SD04 cards, that you are absolutely set to play this deck. You're future-proofing yourself with the SD4 staples. That way Purple Luffy is going to be a really fun deck for you. We're going to see what he does. So it's going to go a little bit harder. We will take this. Oh, we have another one. That's really good if you want to be a little bit greedy. Oh, this is throwing a wrench in our plans a little bit. I think we're still a ramp, right? We have the ulti page 1 combo if we will want to do that. That would be 2 Dawns, and I can use it to attack to scratch my Napu. However, I think going for the bigger play would be better. And I get 1 as active. And now I can leave up for Bolo Breath. Do I attack it to scratch my Napu here? Do I attack the leader? That's the other decision point I have to make. Make them use one of their counters or make them use the 2k. This is what I have to think about in this deck. But at least I have a big body on the field and I can kind of get rid of Magellan by attacking. I do want to play it a little bit more defensively, so let me try and get rid of its vanilla here, which I do think that he's going to promptly counter out of it. 1k counters are kind of scarce in his deck, so it's either vanilla or he has to sacrifice a 2k counter. This is sort of like my thought process in terms of this deck right now. Yeah, he does have to give out 2k counter. We're going to end turn. Here, we do want to leave out the Bolo Breath. I feel like it's kind of necessary. I'm looking for Queen for more protection. I'm looking for Kaido. I'm looking for... He does have 8 Dawn, so he doesn't have the Kaido unless he ramps up by 1. But we do have the Urashima if we want to drop down a big body the next turn. We can even put down a useless kid and then kind of flood the board. Okay, he's going to discard 2 cards. Luckily, he didn't hit the Bolo Breath, but he did get our Frenosuke and page 1. So 2k and a vanilla that pairs well with ulti. Not a problem though. We still have the 2 kind of linchpins if we want to go for that direction. But right now we need to be countering a little bit heavily. Oof. I gotta think about this. Do I want to give up Isa's Captain Kid? I think I do. I think I want to focus on having Urashima on the field the next turn. I think I take this. Ooh, another kid is very, very good. Okay, he's at 5. Maybe his own useless kid. Another Magellan though. We'll still be at 8 Dawn. Ooh, Kaido. Kaido's kind of risky though, in my opinion. Alright, I have a feeling that I want to play out this kid so that my leader will be at 7k. I want to attack the Magellan. So I'm going to drop down kid, use card action, turn it on, get another as active. I'm going to use kid to attack and give up another Dawn so that my leader is 7k till next turn. I'm going to attack the Apu first, try to control the board a little bit. He'll be at 9, so we are in trouble of a Kaido dropping down. Needs 1 more counter. And then in that case, I will put 1 on and attack into a pool as well for 8k. At least kind of control the board a little bit, because even if I attack into life, you know, I may not have a good time. So let's see what he does. We are at base 7k right now, so even if he Kaidos me, all the other stuff cannot attack to my leader. So we're in a decent spot, but we can't play out our Kaido without ramping next turn. Oh no, wait, we can. We'll be at 9 Dawn next turn. So it's gonna be, you know, a battle of attrition right now, but I think we should be able to get there. Let's see. If we survive this turn, which I have a feeling that we would, unless he goes all in, we may have to sacrifice our blocker, and that's not that good, but we have really strong attacks next turn. Okay, there goes the Kaido, which, you know, gets rid of our kid. And he's gonna attack him with 10k, which is a Bolo Breath. Now, wait, gotta think about that. Do I want a Bolo Breath or do I want to go all in and attack? Because I have 4 potential attacks and my leader will be essentially 7k with Kaido on the field. So 7, 8, 8, 10. We're banking on these cards right now. So yeah, that could be our strategy. Let's see. Because either way, we can't play defensively anymore because we might lose. I think he's thinking whether to attack the leader or try to get rid of useless kid. Either way, we do have protection against the Kaido attack. We have at least 3k worth of counter and we have a 4k counter in the form of like ulti as well as Franosuke. So our main goal is to drop down this bad boy and try to go for game that way. Sequencing like 7k attack with the leader, 8k attack with... No, we have to attack with the Eustace kids first. Alright, so yeah. So Eustace kid, 8k, 8k, 7k, and then 10k. That's the game plan right now. Okay, no, not a bug. Alright, so he attacks... I can counter this, which I think I will. So, boom. Boom. This way, actually, I will have access to one more Dawn. So it'll be 8k, 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 and 10k. Alright, here's the plan then. Let's see if we can do it. Because right now, we are at 7 Dawn. We'll be at 9 Dawn next turn. We can ramp on with Luffy by taking a life. We can put 1 Dawn onto Luffy, play down the Kaido, Dawn -5, Dawn -1. So that's like 7 Dawns. Alright, let's see if this works. So draw, we ramp, Kaido, use card action, and kill this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. KO. Put this on here. Attack, leader, use card action. Turn 1 Dawn, gets 1000 power. So that's 8k. First 8k attack. He takes it. Second 8k attack, use card action. Turn 1 Dawn, plus 2k. It's another potential 8k attack. He needs to counter this one. So this is 8k first. So that's like 4k worth. So if this is like 4k, 246, and we did it. He didn't have enough counter. And we still have another 10k attack in the form of Kaido, which would require minimally 6,000 Dawn. So he needs to have like a perfect hand of all 2k counters for them to win, which is, you know, it could happen, but highly unlikely. And there you go. That's the Purple Luffy versus Purple Luffy. It did came down to the wire a little bit. And next turn, he would have won for sure. But we, you know, time it right. We did counter the last attack for Kaido and not sacrificing the Dawn -1 so that we did have our full 10 Dawn so that we can have 3 different 8k attacks and a Kaido final attack. So there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed the match. This is the matchup that you have to be so ready for because Purple Luffy is just everywhere right now in the OP-05 meta game. As Purple Luffy gets popular, other decks like Zoro or more aggressive decks would be popular, but still in the early release of OP-05, this is a deck to look out for. It's a great deck, very powerful. Luffy for the win. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.